It's such a pleasure to always invite Pramod on stage. His career spans an entrepreneurial and professional space across the globe in the US, UK, and Asia. He's built global businesses in financial services, business process management, and skills training. He's the founder of Genpact starting in 1997 and is considered the pioneer of the business process management industry in India today, which employs over 1 million people. Under his leadership, Genpact has also been the pioneer of this industry in China, Eastern Europe, and Latin America. Genpact is acknowledged today as the leader in its industry with over 65,000 employees across 17 countries and over $2 billion in revenue, and is a public company listed on NYSE. He built the company from inception till 2011 when he stepped down as CEO. He's currently focused on building the Skills Academy, a scalable, high-quality skills training business focused on enhancing employability for our youth at the grassroots level. His candor and candid remarks are always entertaining to watch. So I'm going to invite Pramod up on stage. Joining him on this incredible panel, ladies and gentlemen, we have Soumya Tejam, 16 years old. She's found a book Byte. We have Ishita Katyal, 11 years old, author, motivational speaker, and a TED licensee. I think she's the tiniest frame in the conference today. And we have Saad Nasir, 14 years old, co-founder Ati Motors. It's a startup that works on autonomous vehicles. I'm super excited for this session. I hope all of you are as well. Pramod, it's all yours.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. It's a joy and a pleasure to be here, even though it's the last day and just the post-lunch session. Because this is, you can't hear the mic? Yes, absolutely. It's fully packed. So this is absolutely the best session I could have ever hoped to do. In all these years of having, done panels and interviews with presidents and teachers and all that, this is the best I can get. They are also the most intimidating group of people you will meet in your lives, I promise you, once you hear their stories. Because I want you to all think about what you were doing at their ages, when you were their ages. And I just want you to remember how we wasted our youth and how they haven't, okay? But I'll do the introductions quickly, because the joy in this is, of course, to hear these wonderful young people. To me, this is also very much about the promise of the demographics of India. This is about how do we unleash that talent. We have the greatest demographics and the greatest asset in the world, in India. A group of people coming up which will represent by 2025 35% of the world's workforce. 35% of the world's workforce will be sitting right here. 35%, nearly 80% of our population is under 35. And at this point in time, nurturing and harnessing that asset remains clearly, easily the biggest opportunity, as well as the biggest problem and solution. And I think here we have 3 examples of how we can solve it. When I did a panel with them, I must tell you this, I've done panels with adults. They're all adults, by the way. Many of them are 11 years going on 35, as you will find out in a minute. But as I've done a panel with other people, they were already more disciplined on the phone, more clear, more thoughtful, more insightful, and certainly ready to contribute better. So I've had far less trouble managing this panel than I've had many other panels in my life, and most other panels in my life. And as you can see also, they've already broken that barrier very quickly. So let me introduce you to 3 outstanding, brilliant young people. You know, in Malcolm Gladwell's book, The Outliers, for those of you who have read it, there was a lot of description about how people like Steve Jobs, Bill Gates, came up and did very well because of the exposure they had at a young age, access to computers, access to coding. Steve Jobs will still tell you about how, his exposure in Japan helped him to create the fonts that he uses in all the Apple products. And that kind of influence really changed their lives and made a huge difference. I think you're watching here 3 people who we can track for the rest of our lives because they will make that kind of a massive difference to our country. So it is a remarkable opportunity for us and very unique. So first, Ishita Kachal is 11 years old and is an author and motivational speaker. She's going to tell you about it herself because she believes there is so much out in the environment for young people like herself to get inspired. She's spoken at TED in Vancouver, the main TED conference. She runs her own TEDx programs here in Pune. She's speaking at NASSCOM, she's speaking at IIM Ahmedabad, and she is, of course, the youngest TEDx organizer in Asia Pacific region. She likes to write, dance, sing, play basketball.
Yeah.
Very good. Avid reader, and is one of the youngest authors in India today. Saad, sitting there, is a co-founder of Ati Motors, an autonomous vehicle startup based in Bangalore. I'm going to ask them at some time to tell us how they spend their day, and that is even more intimidating because if we think we work hard, you should hear their stories. His interests vary from computer architecture, artificial intelligence, machine learning to aerospace engineering. He was a Broadcom Masters International Delegate from India to the US. He has been the winner at the Intel Iris Science Fair 2012, 13, 14, and 16. He is self-taught and homeschooled. He has been doing online courses since the age of 10, has completed numerous MOOCs on edX, Coursera, etc. And Soumya. Soumya is a 10th class student, keen interest in technology and business, and she's established a subscription box service called BookBite that sends out curated packages containing young adult novels, short stories by budding novelists, an exciting online experience. And she wants to spread the joy of reading to become a thriving to build a thriving community of passionate readers and writers. The philosophy behind it was simple: don't make reading a habit, make it a lifestyle. You know, I wanted to have a discussion with them and do a Q&A, but their stories are so compelling that I've asked them, with your permission, to just talk about their stories for 5 or 6 minutes, and then we'll break into a discussion, and then we'll certainly throw it open to the audience because I know how much you would love to have a chat with them. So with that, Ishita, may I turn to you first?
Yeah, sure.
And you want to tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got here. Thank you.
Yeah. So, hi guys, I'm Ishita. I'm 11 years old. Like Sir said, I love to read, dance, sing, play, sometimes study, and beatbox, and so much more. I'm so glad that I'm here with 1, 2, 3 more amazing people, and so many amazing people sitting right here as well. Professionally, I write and speak. Many people don't appreciate this since it's a creative field. When I go to someone and I say I write and I speak, they say, okay, that's what you do, but what do you do? I say, I write books, I speak, I'm a motivational speaker. They're like, oh, right, but what do you do? And I'm just like, nothing, it's okay. I have written a book called Simran's Diary. It's about a girl called Simran who, like, at the age of 8, she goes through many twists, turns, adventures, and at a point she fulfills her dream, going through many challenges and struggles, a bit like me, and at the same time she's just another girl and she supports girl power. I am also the licensee of a TEDx event called TEDx Youth at Balewadi. Me and my team, we do it in Pune. If any of you would like to help us be volunteers, we'll be more than happy because it is about the youth, but it's also about how adults can empower the youth as well. I have spoken at 2 TED conferences. One was TED Global at Vancouver last year, and one is at TED Youth in New York, I think in 2015. My main aim of my life, even though my life has just begun, is to see smiles on all of your faces and to empower the youth, because I don't think there are many people like us who are ready to show the adults that we can do something as well. So like I was saying, my main aim of my life that just began in 2005 is to inspire everyone to leave all of you, so that you all leave this room with a new thought, with a new idea from every single one of us here. And one or two main things I say in all of my talks is to embrace failure. And number two, you should not ask young people like us the question, what do you want to be when you grow up? Instead, I have an alternative for that, because you're like, acha, wo nahi puche, so what should we ask them? So I think you should ask them, what do you want to be now? That's what's important, right? Thank you. And I would like to conclude, because I do talk a lot, but for my introduction, since there's been such a nice intro for me, I would just like to end by saying I hope you all learned something new. I would love to talk to all of you. I mean, if we get time to talk to every single one of you, because there's so many people. I would love to talk to all of you how we can help you to encourage the youth, how we can give you ideas, and yeah, keep smiling, keep being innovative.
Wonderful, Ishita.
Thank you.
Saad, will you tell us about engineering, about your life, what you're doing?
I'm mostly self-taught, so
You can just put the mic in front.
yeah. I'm mostly self-taught, so I learned on my own. So I started off, my journey started when I learned stuff, programming and other things on my own. And then my second grade teacher, Miss Sinha, she found out that I was doing these things and wanted to help out. So she connected me with various people in Intel, and that's how I met Mr. Doshi. He was my mentor, and there I did things like I worked on the elements of computer systems. That's a book where it takes you from basically, you have to make a complete computer system out of NAND gates. So from NAND gates to the entire computer, including compilers, the CPU, and an OS. So, and then through there I got connected to Dr. Vinay. He is another mentor of mine, and there I learned quite a bit of math, abstract math, and quite a few other things. I also did quite a few online courses in wide fields, such as I did crypto, I did stuff on blockchain, aerospace, and I think I've done 30-40 courses. And currently I'm the co-founder of an autonomous vehicles company, Ati Motors, where we are working on an autonomous goods vehicle.
So what is the vehicle going to do?
We basically didn't want to make autonomous car because first of all, there are people who are way more well-funded, have more time and experience than us. So we wanted to be in a position where being in India gives us an advantage. So we're working on vehicles with the maneuverability of a motorcycle. So you see lots of people carry goods on motorcycles here, the TVS XL for example. So we basically wanted to make a vehicle that would be able to transport goods autonomously and with the same access as a motorcycle. We are not aiming at roads, so it's not going to run on public roads right now. We are planning on off-road applications. Like there are a lot of places that you can only access by motorcycle. You can't take a car or any larger vehicle.
So you're solving some really terrific problems that would really help us in our country,
Yeah.
right? Fantastic. Fantastic. It's an amazing story. Look at the stuff they're trying to solve for. Yeah? And Soumya, will you tell us what you're up to?
Sure. Hi everyone, my name is Soumya Tejam and I'm a studentpreneur. And I say studentpreneur because I think entrepreneurship is a journey of learning. And as I go down this path, I am accumulating a lot of learnings from everything that I've been doing. I think my journey in technology and entrepreneurship started when I took part in this competition called the Tech-Innovation Challenge. Now, the Tech-Innovation Challenge encourages girls into careers in STEM through an app development competition which I took part in. And that's when I started my first venture called Capable. Capable is Capable is a career development app which connects people with disabilities to employers and skill development centers. And through my journey with Capable, I've realized that technology is for everyone and can be built by absolutely anyone. And that's started my love for technology and entrepreneurship and a lifelong interest, I think, in business. This kind of prompted me to start my entrepreneurial venture called BookBite. And BookBite is a subscription box service, and every month we send out a box with a book, and we have an online experience. And the idea is to bring together a community of readers and writers. I think technology and entrepreneurship have been going hand in hand for an enormously long time. And I think it's the need of the hour as young people and as people in the spaces of technology and business to take power and to take charge of the opportunities available and to put them to good use. I think the development and the amount of change that has happened in the past 50 years is equivalent to the amount that's going to happen in the next 5. And I think it's our job to make use of the opportunities that are given to us with this technology and the developments that we're going to see in the next few years.
Very good, Swami. So BookBites is up and running?
Yes, it is.
Doing well?
Absolutely.
Wonderful. So here's the question that has always intrigued us. You know, we need to unleash creativity and innovation in our country. It's an endemic issue. I don't think we do it particularly well in our colleges and our schools. So, you know, there's a galaxy of people here, all of whom employ a lot of young people, who have children who are younger, certainly, or much older. So give us some advice. What would you do? How do you think we should try and change the ecosystem, certainly in educational establishments, to empower our young talent far more? How do we unleash this demographic dividend? How do we get the best out of it? And we can take it in any order, and you can jump in at any time.
Yeah.
So,
I think for companies and for industrialists and as all of you, as people in the business, I think there's a two-pronged approach to how to reach out to this segment, this population of our country that has the potential to potentially change the way you're running each one of your organizations. So the first thing, and my first ask to all of you here, is to reach out to this section of society that is still in school, that still has the time, but is also just as innovative, has probably a few lesser opportunities, but has the drive and can take initiative to lead the change. So my ask to you is to reach out to this population. My second ask is for you to be more considerate. We've established right now in this session the opportunities available to us through MOOCs. And for each one of us and each one of your organizations to provide students with more such opportunities would probably lead to more amounts of opportunities for us as students, for more opportunities for each one of you as employers and creators and innovators in this business. And to reach out to this population is, I think, taking all of us forward.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you used a word saying you'd like us all to be a lot more considerate, right? Is that right?
Considerate, yes. And I say this because there is a slight and a small amount of prejudice when it comes to young people trying to do big people things.
Very good.
And at the moment, And at the moment, I'm sure a lot of you are surprised about why are we trying to run our own ventures. And I think that's where I want each one of you to step back and say, that's okay, and that's a good thing. It's good to take initiative at a young age. It's good to start learning at a young age. And of course, I'm looking forward to learning from each one of you.
Right. Wonderful.
Yeah.
You know, Ishita gave me a quote on the call which we were doing, and Ishita, I'm going to steal this quote from you and then come to you to talk about it. When she was trying to publish a book,
Yeah.
I think the publishers told her first that, you know, we publish books for kids, not by kids. And that was a wonderful quote. But Ishita, tell us, what is the advice you'd give? Because, you know, honestly, we want to unleash creativity, we want to unleash innovation. I think very often we end up subduing it because we feel we need to guide it or control it and do it the wrong way. So we'd love to hear, and Saad, we need to hear from you also, how would you allow this to flourish at all levels of our ecosystem and our environment?
Yeah, should I go? Or? So, I am just a kid. You can all correct me later on if you think I'm wrong. But I think there are 4 important steps. Number 1 is for all of you adults or young people, if you want to call yourself young people, is to learn from us kids, us young people, from the youth, so that you can also see the potential we have. Number 2 is to turn all of your I can'ts to what if. Because I was telling this to all of you as well, because our creativity starts with what if, and it dies with I can't. So I think that's one very important thing that we need to keep in mind. Number 2 is to embrace failure, which I always tell everyone, because to learn how to cycle, to get the reward of learning how to cycle, you need to fall at least 2 to 5 times. And the last step is to get a new perspective. I think if you talk to all of us, to anyone, for that matter, get their perspective, and you may even need to physically get a new perspective if you think that a different place may not be a place where you can be creative. Then come to places like this and show your potential. But I think for you adults to unleash creativity, the most important thing is to get in touch with us, just like Soumya did say. Because if you need to be a bit shameless to socialize, because if you don't, you know, because even if someone says no to you, even if a kid says no to you, you need to have the courage to, you know that, yeah, it's okay, at least I know I'm creative. So, yeah, those 4 steps are very important to learn, embrace failure. What is the next one? Sorry, short-term memory loss. Learn, embrace your failures. Oh, yeah, it was I'm sure you all might have heard it, so I'm not able to remember it.
I told you, this is an intimidating crowd over here, okay? And I think it's a very gentle advice that when we say no, don't ignore us just because we are younger in age, you know, and kids don't have to be treated like kids at all times in everything that they do. Saad, you gave me some interesting examples of unleashing creativity and doing things differently, you know, the 9 to 5 idea, etc., that we talked about, which you said, well, why do we do it 9 to 5? So tell us, how would you do it? How would you do it in your homeschool?
Yeah.
You've done everything at home. How would you do it? What advice would you give us? What advice would you give other people your age?
Creativity is a natural thing, but you can. So, for example, there is no method or to get to creative, because that would be a contradiction in terms. And so the best way to be creative is if you are really, really motivated about the problem you're working on, then you're going to be much more creative about it. You cannot be creative about something you don't like. If you enjoy what you're doing, then it's a natural prerequisite and you'll be naturally creative. And another thing is things like, and to be creative, you also, in lots of professions, you also need to spend time doing nothing, because if you're always doing something, you're probably not going to have time to think about new things.
To think about creativity. Very good advice. I wonder how often, you know, personal technology has made us slaves and time has evaporated in our own lives. So I think it's, and I know, I'm sure many of you, I also struggle to find time when you just sit and think, as opposed to, you know, deleting old emails or whatever else we do with our phones half the time, or deleting old pictures. But Saad, let me come back to those points that you made about 9 to 5. There were also other points you were making about, you know, for instance, the kind of learning that people need to be doing at this age, right, in education, to achieve the kind of results that you wanted to. So talk a little bit about that, about, you talked about, you know, how younger people need to be better trained, or there needs to be greater depth in certain subjects, which wasn't happening earlier, and therefore you really don't have enough competencies at certain levels, and it's going to only come through from younger people. Why don't you talk about that?
So an interesting thing is, if you actually look at more in-depth fields, there's often a gap in expertise. Most people who are really good at deeper mathematical fields and things like that, like control theory, are often older. And the reason is, most college tuition is extremely expensive for most people. And so what happens is, most people look at these. So for example, if you're a CS graduate, you just need to do a bachelor in your PhD if you are going into particular types of fields, and you get less out. I mean, your salary is lower and stuff like that. So most people do not take such fields, but that's bad, because for example, if you want to automate stuff, you need lots of control theory experts. So I think, so and that's the advantage of MOOCs, by making education easier and cheaper.
Yes.
A lot more people will be able to take advantage and go deeper in fields that people don't even see, just because the salary will never pay off your college tuition.
And the point you made to me earlier was, you know, if we could have MOOCs across the country, imagine what a difference it would make if our young talent could always access MOOCs all the time in a whole variety of subjects everywhere. Let me turn to the role technology plays in your lives today. And so actually I want to do something, first. So first I want to know, tell us how you spend your day. And I just want you to tell us properly, because it'll scare the pants out of most of the audience. So Swami, tell us how you spend your day.
I'm a 10th grade student, and I run 2 ventures. So my time is actually divided 3 ways. The first is, of course, in school, my academics and my studies. The second is my venture, BookBite, which I spend a huge amount of time on. The third is Capable, which is the mobile app that I'm working on. And I think whatever time is left, I spend eating, sleeping, and encouraging more people to start learning about technology and to get into entrepreneurship.
Wonderful. What a life. What a day. Fantastic. Ishita?
My day actually is really mixed, because being a 6th grade student, it's nothing, compared to being a 10th grade student. But
so old, isn't it? It's so old, from 6th grade to 10th grade.
But at the end of the day, whatever grade it is, we do get homework, a lot of it perhaps. So a lot of time does go in my school projects, school work, school homework, school this, school that. But every small amount of time I get, I play, because I do not want to lose my childhood at all, not even 1% of it. And thank you. I write, because that's my passion. I wear my headphones, I keep dancing and singing, because I think at the end of the day you need to be a bathroom singer sometimes. But if I had to give a summary about it, it would obviously be schoolwork, writing. I do my reading part of it at night before sleeping, and also playing. Also, I speak to myself in the mirror just to know that, Everyone is beautiful, everyone is amazing, so I should know that, I as a person, I'm amazing too. I mean, you should have self-esteem, not like not self-obsessed, but self-esteem at least. So I think I do anything and everything that makes me happy.
Very good. Wonderful. Saad?
My day is so more things. So generally on some days I go into the office and we discuss stuff. So either
He goes to the other, right?
So either it can be anywhere from 10 to 12 or 10 to 2. And
You don't like waking up early, right?
yeah, and traffic. And then once I get home, it's not very well defined. So basically, I pick up stuff that I want to do and just either complete them and I switch between stuff because you can't be productive doing the exactly the same thing for a long period of time.
Very good. Very good. How is technology changing your lives? Tell me. How are you using it? How have you used it to get to where you are? What a big difference. This is a technology, this is a room full of technologists. How is technology changing our lives? And how different do you see, the earlier generation in terms of how they've used technology versus the things you're doing with technology, which are far more impactful, I suspect? Please, whoever.
Go on.
All right. So I think there's two parts to your question and there's two parts to my answer. The first is...
Soumya always organizes us best.
So technology in my life is what I work with. Building apps is something I love. Programming is something I love. But at the very basic level, my phone is a piece of technology that's always with me. And for each one of you, I think your phones are almost the basic technological device that you all make good use of today. And for me, it's important to learn new ways of exploiting the technology that's at hand, to make good use of what we have now and how we can use it to create more. The second part of your question was about...
How is it changing? How do you see a change in terms of how you use it for the other?
Absolutely. So parts of our discussion before were about the kind of gap that has been created between industry specialists who are now in the older generation, in the older age bracket as such, employing young graduates who come fresh out of college. And a cause for concern for a lot of you over here is probably the gap that exists between these two segments and these two generations. And what we really need to look at is how to bridge that gap. And one way to do that, perhaps, is through conferences like this, where industry specialists get to speak with, get to hear from younger people. And I think this is an initiative which is lacking in several areas, which is also why I like to talk about and I like to encourage people who have the power to do so to reach out to this section of society, this section of people who are still in the school level, to educate them, to empower them with the technology that you are working with as a company. I know students who run initiatives in the spaces of AI. Take Saad, for example. He knows enough about blockchain development. And it's companies who have the resources who need to reach out to people like us who have the interest, who can take initiative, and who are willing to learn. It's about time we empower people who have the time, resources, energy to work on ambitious projects. And without doing that, we're not going to meet, and we're not going to close that gap any sooner.
Yep, it's fantastic. Fantastic advice. Ishita, Saad?
Yeah? You want to go ahead?
One thing that technology made a lot easier is access to information. MOOCs would have been impossible before. It really made access to high quality education available to all. And even ebooks. It's a lot so easy to get your hand on books, and especially technical ones nowadays, because quite a few stuff, they're not even printed. And Yeah, things like that, and especially core education, it made information dissemination easier, and also just collaboration. I mean, the electronic stack exchange. Um, Nobody would have thought that would be a feasible thing before. You can just ask a question, and somebody who probably has worked on the exact same thing you want to do will probably come up with some solution to it, and that would have been impossible without the technology.
And we're barely touching the surface of that stuff, I
Yeah.
think, in terms of its potential,
Yeah.
how we could access it. Ishita, how does it affect your life?
Actually, technology is a big part of any young person's life, from Google to YouTube, internet to apps we play, the apps we used to play. But specifically for me, I obviously use it to type the books or the articles that I write. I also use it to do research. I think about technology, it was not aimed at us, it is aimed at everyone. But since young people have the intellect, we grab it first. Everyone does. But earlier, I think there was not too much of technology. You had Pac-Man, just landlines. And so we should be happy that we have this technology today that we can use, because the new technology and the young generation is a perfect combination. All of you people who work in tech centers and who want to help us, I think one main thing you can do is go to people who don't get the opportunity of learning, but with like virtual reality or visual stuff, with imagination, with imaginative stuff. So I think number one, you should go to them, people who don't have access to technology, and then come to us, because we can already figure out ways, but those people, they don't know how technology works, right? So I think first we should go to them, make them learn about how important technology is in today's day and in the coming generation. But I'm sure in the coming generation, things like solar power, solar energy will become a lot more important, because you never know how many resources we have left.
Very good. I think at a minimum, some role reversals are called for, right? So I think in schools, in colleges, we should at least have all the teachers teaching for a while, and then have all the kids teaching the teachers for a while. And same in colleges and same in our companies. I think we should do role reversals. You'll have the bosses speaking to the people, and then have all the kids, all the younger people speaking to the bosses and telling them, now let us tell you how you should really run this company, right? I think that would be a great thing if we could pull that off. I know this is a subject both of you certainly are very, very committed about. I certainly am. We've tried our best, certainly at Genpact when I was there, to do a lot, and I know Tiger does a lot about it also. Asad, you also recognize the strength of this. But you talk a lot about women, girl power, women in technology, women in business. There are quite a few women here, but barely enough, in some respects, represented. And therefore, would love to hear your thoughts on how would you expand that? How would you really encourage it far more than it happens today? And how would you introduce women into this entire ecosystem much, much faster and in a far better, enhanced way? Soumya, I know you love talking about this.
So, I think technology, like I said before, is for everyone, and everyone's making good use of it. I think women in technology shouldn't be a topic which is so far away from reality. I fail to understand almost why it isn't reality already. One of the reasons why we see, and I feel like why it hits home, is because as young people, we don't see women role models, not enough women role models in the fields and the sectors that we'd like to work in. Today, I see my future and my career in the spaces of technology, entrepreneurship, and business. But I don't see enough women as role models for the work that I want to do. And as the younger generation, as someone who belongs to a generation who has the capacity to do more, it is important for us to look to have someone to look up to. It's even more important to look up to someone when you come from a background where you aren't that privileged. So to think about not just privileged young generation like ours, but to think about the underprivileged, to think about the opportunities that they now lack and the role models that they don't see. So I think it's our job and your job to make sure that, one, women are encouraged in the fields of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, STEM. And to do this, the best way, I think, is to facilitate and encourage by going down to the grassroots level, by encouraging them with the help of MOOCs, by conducting sessions and seminars, which is in the capacity for each one of you to do. And that's how we need to take it forward.
Very good. Ishita?
I think there are already many women and girls as well out there, but there are not many events like this one or, like this one, who are giving a platform to not only boys, but also girls. So one main thing is to create more platforms like this for people to come and share their ideas. Because I completely agree with what you said, but not only women in technology, but also in different fields should be motivated as well. Because I think there should be no discrimination between a boy and a girl. Because at the end of the day, we all are human beings. And if we just look at each other from, the eyes of, oh, he is he and she is she, then our world will build up to become not such an amazing world. If we want to have more platforms like this, we need to give a chance to not only men, but also women. Because there are so many girls doing it, Kalpana Chawla, Neeti Mohan, badminton players, Sanya and Saina, so many people. And I think if they can do it, why not all of us? And one last thing I would also want to mention is why we don't see many girls or ladies everywhere is I think they're very concerned about what the world will think, this line in Hindi ki log kya kahenge. This line is changing our whole world. So if that line is removed from our dictionary, then I think girls will get a bigger platform.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Saad? How will technology change the world of men and women, and how would you embrace that more? And two, a very specific question, when will your autonomous car be ready, your cargo truck be ready?
So, as for the second question, we are planning on having our first field prototype out in 2 years.
In 2 years?
Yeah.
Wonderful.
I think technology will impact us in many, many ways. For example, automation. Quite a few jobs are on the brink of being automated. Self-driving cars are very, very close to being real. They're no longer like dreams. They exist. And it's only a matter of time before the regulatory hurdles get cleared.
Absolutely.
And even in a lot of other fields, like, for example, the Tesla factory, it's completely automated, mostly.
Wonderful.
And those kind of things, and automation, and even other things, like, for example, almost everything will be on the internet.
Yes.
And all these things coming together will allow possibilities that were like crazy. I mean, if you had suggested the idea of Uber a few years ago, people would have said you're crazy.
Absolutely, sir. Now, by the way, I do want to do one thing. The parents of these three amazing kids are here also. They are here. Where are they? We could have them up. There we go. There, and at the back, the ladies at the back, right?
Oh, behind us.
So, we have and what we've heard from all of you is, of course, treat us differently. Now, my problem, I'm going to tell you, is my daughter is in Washington, and she's going to say, Dad, why didn't you talk to them before when I was 5 years old and you would have treated me differently. And I'm going to hear that back, and you're all going to hear that back from your kids because they're all going to say, why didn't you learn from them and treat us differently? We have some great questions that we can do some questions. So let me hit these, and that's why I thought, I was going to ask the parents to stand up and actually come on stage right at the end, which we'll do. But the first question is, I don't know if it's for you or for your parents actually. It says, how did your parents accept the reality that conventional education path is not for you? Has it been disruptive for them? Has it been disruptive for you? And how much did, this path be helped by your parents in unleashing that creativity and that innovation and giving you the freedom? Anyone?
I think our parents are, and for all three of us, I think they're our biggest support systems today. They have been the ones, and at the very basic level, who literally got us from where we were staying to the hotel to this event. So apart from all the logistics that they manage for us, I think a huge part of what they do is really being the backbone and giving us the space, the environment
Yes.
to build, create, innovate, to work on projects that we're passionate about. And without them, I don't think we'd have the resources and the opportunities that we have today. It's really, they stand as backbones, and they stand as the foundation for the work that we're doing.
Absolutely.
And what we'll do in the future.
Ishita?
I would first of all like to thank thank my parents for being the people that they are. So thank you so much, Mom. Thank you so much, Dad, for being who you are. Because without you, not only would I be on this stage, I wouldn't even be in this world. So,
That is a truism.
but I think I am so glad that we have the parents that we have, because if it would have been any other parent, they would have been like, chodo, what will they do by going in tech? What will they do by speaking? What will they do by sitting over here on this couch and talking to people? But I think the mindsets that they have has made us who we are. So they actually they exactly what you said, they have been our backbone and our support system. For me, when I asked them if I can pursue this, they said, you shouldn't even be asking us. You should go ahead. You should do what you like. And I think if there are more parents like our parents, then young people will get such a big platform to do what they like, that this world can be a really, really nice place.
Absolutely.
And the question, which is, how do my parents accept the reality of blah, 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 because it's a very big question. Sorry. The question should be asked to them, because they're the better, people who can answer the question.
And Saad, you're self-taught and homeschooled.
Yeah.
Right? So tell me, how was it to grow up like that, and how's it been for your parents? How's that work?
I'm probably not a very authoritative source of information for that, because I don't really remember very well.
Right, very good.
Yeah. But I'm not really sure. I started, I learned myself from when I was very, very young. So it was natural for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just knew engineering was what you wanted to do.
No,
From what age?
I actually just played around with lots of stuff. So I find that most science and technology related stuff very interesting.
Right. Okay. So let me move on to another question, which is really, if you were given an opportunity to impact the world, what would you do? I'm going to change that question around a little bit and say, 5-10 years from now, what do you want to be doing? What do you want to have done or achieved? I know I'm banned by Ishita from asking that as to what I want to be when I grow up, but I would love to still ask you, we're also going to track your progress from now on, right? Because we've met you, we've seen you. For me, at least, it's changed the way I think about dealing with young people completely and permanently. So I'd love to hear from you. What do you want 10 years from now?
Should I go?
Yes, whoever.
Like you said, I do say that you should ask us, what do you want to be now? But I am the first one to answer this question, so I'd also, I think that question is important as well. 5 or 10 years from now, I think I still want to have a child within me, because I don't want to just be like any other teenager or adult sitting at home being the typical adult. I want to have a kid in me who also does the things that a kid does. But 5, 10 years from now, my big dream, which I would love to make it from a dream to reality with all of you, if you would make it possible, is to create a small place for underprivileged people, not only children but also adults, who have not got an opportunity to learn, not about like ABC or English or maths, but things like image management, body language, how to say no to someone, how to be intelligent, how to, put your point out there. I think those kind of things there should be a platform where they can come, they can tell people about who they are. So that's my big dream. But otherwise, I want to continue to do what I'm doing. I want to write more books. I want to speak. I want to have my events with my team at higher scales, and I want to socialize as much as I can, because in the coming world, you never know how many opportunities we will get for networking.
Very good. This world is clearly not going to be enough. And at 10 years from now, you're going to be really old at 21, right?
Yeah. How unfortunate.
Wonderful. 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 Saad?
I see myself as being an entrepreneur, so continuing on this path.
And you told me when we were on the call that you like solving really difficult problems.
Yeah, because the basic idea is, if it's the same, how do you choose? There's this well-known thing, how do you choose a research problem? If it's easy, you don't.
Yeah, wonderful, wonderful. Soumya?
I think in 5 to 10 years, the industry, the landscape that we'll be entering will be phenomenally different from what we see right now. And so I think in those years, I'd still be a learner and a student of life, if I may, to learn and engage with people, to imbibe the expertise that they have developed, and to finally bring it into anything that I work on. And so without putting a tag to it, I think I would dabble into entrepreneurship, into business, into technology. I think they're the foundations of what I like to dabble into, and I think they're going to stay the same for years to come.
Wonderful, wonderful. Wonderful thing. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, for me, this is the future of India. And I could not be more proud and more optimistic about where our country will go with this kind of talent. They are who we live for and who we will watch with great amazement and great encouragement. May I just ask the parents to come up also, please, for a moment? Because they deserve as much as a lesson for us.
I'm going to request Pramod to hand over tokens of our appreciation to our extremely articulate, bright minds. Ladies and gentlemen in the audience, if you can all stand up, I'm going to request you all to bow to them. So can we all do a bow to our 3 little speakers on stage? So raise your hands and drop a curtsy. Everybody together on 1, 2, 3. Thank you guys, such bright, articulate, intelligent minds, the harbingers of India's future. A huge round of applause to them. Pramod, I'm going to request you to hand over mementos. Yeah. Thank you guys for opening our eyes to the realities. Thank you so much.